What's up, New York Post sports fans? Brandon London here, alongside with New York Post sports reporter Jared Schwartz. We've got ourselves our Giants Steelers post-game live show. 26-18 loss. Giants now fall to 2-6 on the season. A lot to unpack from this game, Jared. I mean, a winnable game. It was a winnable game that now we start this live stream off with coulda, shoulda, woulda. You're the media guy. I know I'm a former player turned media, but you're true media. What are we writing in the morning? Talk to me.
I mean, I think I was just telling you before we got on the stream, those two moments, Bobby Okereke forces a fumble, puts the Giants in very good, in field position, down 8, you have a chance to tie the game. They get 3 yards before Daniel Jones gets strip sacked by TJ Watt. Then the defense gives you another stop. They force a punt, and you go down and you throw an interception. Now, I know I was telling you this before the stream, but in those two moments, after Okereke forces and recovers that punt, recovers the fumble, and after they force the punt, was there any feeling that Daniel Jones is leading a touchdown drive? We know they could score yards, but they could move the ball down the field. But this is a team that has one offensive touchdown in 3 weeks. As a media guy, I'm looking at it and saying those are the two moments. There is no feeling that they have any chance to win the game. When you talk about winnable game, yes, it was a winnable game, but is it winnable for this team and this quarterback?
Yeah. The player in me says yeah. Because when you have Tyrone Tracy Jr. bust out for a 45-yard touchdown run, when you haven't been able to get the run game going in the last 2 to 3 weeks, or at least since the Seattle Seahawks game, you're looking at it like, yeah, you can go down and score. You never know what can happen, because even though you look at it like the Giants are on prime time, dang, but the Giants are on the road. The Giants play well on the road. Daniel Jones, the offense, plays well on the road. So you're looking at it like they're like, what's it from the movie Dumb and Dumber? So you're saying there's a chance. Like, you thought that there could be a chance. You have Malik Neighbors on the outside. Darius Slayton was having himself a heck of a game. So you're thinking, yeah, you can go down there and score, but to put up duds, nothing, strip sack after 3 plays, and then the late interception by Daniel Jones at the end to put it away. You walk away from the game. If you're watching on TV, just turn it off. Go watch 60 Minutes. If you're watching on a laptop, just put it down. If you're watching on the phone, you go text your friends to see, hey, what other bar did y'all go to, so you can turn up and show up late to work tomorrow. It's just unfortunate, because what the Giants offense has weapon-wise. What they've already done historically 2022 to be able to go on that run that they did, but they give you nothing in terms of the hope, and it's unfortunate. And you think of the guys in the locker room, from Brian Dable down to Malik Neighbors, down to Jermaine Illuminor. Everyone's feeling it when it comes to that offense. And again, another wasted opportunity.
You talk about hope, and I think, a lot of that lack of hope obviously stems from the quarterback. There's not a lot of hope in this quarterback, and this quarterback to lead game-winning drives or game-tying drives, or even just an offense that puts up, high 20s, mid-20s, over 30 points. I said last week when, after they lost to the Eagles, that it was fitting that the day Daniel Jones was benched for the first time was the same day that Saquon Barkley, tortured them. They obviously had the chance, to bring back either one. They gave Daniel Jones the big contract. They gave Saquon Barkley the franchise tag, and then, they gave their future to Jones over Saquon. I'll say this week it's fitting that Daniel Jones comes up short against Russell Wilson in prime time. Remember, Russell Wilson is a guy that visited the Giants, that whose contract is being paid in full by the Broncos. He was available to sign for $1.2 million, the veterans minimum, on the free agent market. He visited the Giants, and they opted not to sign him. And look, you tell me who is the better quarterback today, in those two moments, who would you have wanted the ball to have, to lead game-winning drives?
Well, they're both the same. Daniel Jones gave up a crucial sack fumble. Russell Wilson gave up a crucial sack fumble. Bobby Okereke, as you just said. Daniel Jones' number on the day, 24 for 38, 264, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Russell Wilson, 20 for 28, 278, 1 touchdown. So, I mean, yes, statistically, Russell Wilson looked better, but they both weren't the reason why one wasn't the reason why their team won. The other, I guess I can't necessarily say he wasn't the reason why his team lost, but he didn't put them in a position to win.
Then to me, you look at the rest of the roster, and this is where I think it's a good time to bring up Deonte Banks. And, you look at Joe Shane's roster, and it's year 3 now for him, and you look at the roster that he's built and, the investments he's made. Deonte Banks is benched in the second quarter and doesn't play the rest of the game. That's a problem. He was a first-round pick last year. He's supposed to be their best cornerback. He can't be a player who's being benched, for effort and for performance reasons. Look, we mentioned Tyrone Tracy before. He's a shining light, and I think there's some optimism around this rookie class. But you look at the offensive line, left tackle, Andrew Thomas is out. You'd like to hope that Evan Neal, a first-round pick 2 years ago, can step in and be the backup, but he can't beat out the guys they bring off the street. Jalen Hyatt, a third-round pick, doesn't play. As I said before, Banks is their first-round pick last year, is being benched. There's been a lot of investment now from Shane. If you want to look at the rest of the roster, that's not producing on Sundays, and some of them that can't even crack playing time.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, you got to look at the entire rookie class and see what they're producing. It's unfortunate because you don't want the rookies to be the ones that are producing in a business to where we're a high production level. So when you talk about, and everyone always talks about, especially me, when I say the leaders in the locker room, I had 07 my rookie year. Even though even the undrafted free agents gave something in terms of Craig Dahl, Michael Matthews. You look at Kevin Balls, fourth-round draft pick, Ball. Steve Smith came in late. Ahmad Bradshaw, 7th-round pick. Michael Johnson, 7th-round pick. Yeah, you want the rookies to play well. You want them to ball, but you also want your senior leadership to ball out as well, because at the end of the day, when they talk and you want their words to hold some sort of weight in the locker room with players-only meetings. If Antonio Pierce wasn't giving me anything or giving the rookies anything, why would Michael Johnson listen to him? So it's just one of those things.
I think that's something to watch now, especially around Banks. After that play that got him benched, when Najee Harris kind of hurdled him, right near the sideline. It was right near the Giants sideline. That was the other 2 times he's kind of been, reprimanded. The time where he didn't chase down CeeDee Lamb and Jerome Henderson kind of called him out, and the time last week against the Eagles where he didn't chase down Jalen Hurts, and Dable kind of said we handled it. This one didn't really seem like effort. It was more technique. He was unhappy that he kind of dove at Najee instead of, standing him up and squaring him up. But it was right in front of the Giants bench, and Dable, gave him an earful. And I think, at another point in the game, Dexter Lawrence was kind of giving it the defensive backs, on the bench an earful. So, they can say all they want, that they stay together, that they, everything's in front of him, that they just will focus on the game. But it's hard not to unravel. You really saw that frustration, especially on that when they did score on that, to cut it to 8 points, and they went for the 2-point conversion, and they ran that, weird looking play with just the Jones and the center.
Annexation of Puerto Rico. If you're watching the Little Giants movie before that, like, I don't know what that was.
But I mean, there was clearly a miscommunication, and Daniel Jones looked really frustrated. I think he let out a few expletives and he yelled at somebody, and the frustration will grow. They have another division game in Washington, then they go to Germany with the the lowly Panthers. But it's this, especially recently, losing is hard, especially losing on prime time is even harder. It's going to be hard to keep that frustration out of the locker room and keep that focus and keep just a positive attitude.
Yeah, because the way they're losing, I could see if it was a team full of losers. I could see if there wasn't guys who weren't on that 2022 team. I mean, you look at the leading receiver in terms of touchdown receptions, Isaiah Hodgins, he's on the practice squad right now. So imagine how he feels wanting to get out there. You look at a guy like Dexter Lawrence, he got paid off of that year, I believe. Like, that means a lot. Bobby Okereke's first year with the team, I believe. Guys were putting up numbers, and you saw what he did today. Michael McFadden kind of came on the scene, Jason Pinnock. So it means a lot because a lot of these guys have had success here. And people can say, like, oh, they're a victim of their success. You're not going to tell me as a player that I'm a victim of my success. I did what I did because we had the right scheme, we had the right situation, and I was on top of my game. Right now, you're not seeing that, Jared. You're seeing stupid penalties that negate touchdowns back-to-back week. Last week it was Theo Johnson's touchdown that should have been that got negated, and you're seeing it again this week. The penalties. There's things that are just drop balls. There's a lot going on that makes this team look like a bad team.
That's a good thing to talk about, the penalties. I mean, 11 today, and a lot of them were procedural. They were ineligible man downfield. They were ineligible formation. They were 12 men on the field. They were, you name it. They were delay of games. They were not even just holds and stuff like that. They were procedural stuff. Look, I think we both agree that this is a more talented on paper roster than 2022. What changed? Is Daboll doing a worse job than he was? Is it Daniel Jones playing worse? Is it execution? They won a lot of close games that year. They've lost a lot of close games this year. Does it just come down to execution in crucial moments? I mean, it's hard to pinpoint. All fingers will always point to Daniel Jones. It's easy. Daniel Jones. But I think that's the easy way out. I don't think all the problems lie there. And, like you said, his stat line was pretty comparable to Russell Wilson, today at least. There has to be something deeper than just that. There has to be something going on beyond Daniel Jones. It's just, the defense always looks like it plays good
enough
until it's time to.
Until it gets late, and it's that moment to where it's like, okay, this is the NFL. This league is made for offenses to go down to field and to score. And again, the Giants defense, this is a top 10 defense if you have complementary football along with it.
If they can ever play with a lead, if they get, we talked about this last week, how often has this defense been able to actually play with the lead and face obvious passing downs and it's so easy for the Steelers. They're always winning. They're able to run out clock on the ground. They're able to establish things on the ground because they're always winning. There's no sense of urgency for them. Look, it's just going back to the Banks point, and the frustration in the locker room. Daboll, I'm sure is answering questions about that right now. But, you as a guy who was in locker rooms and stuff, that was something they said they had handled. Dexter Lawrence said, that's not acceptable, and we handled it. Brian Daboll said we handled it. Clearly it wasn't handled. What does that, you tell me, what does that mean for what this locker room is right now?
I mean, I look at it as if it was addressed with just words, that's one thing. But now, depending on how that looks on tape to everyone, because you still got Bobby Okereke playing his ass off, Michael McFadden,
Yeah.
these guys still playing their ass off to the end, to the
I thought
clock.
the defensive line played hard today too.
So that's what I'm saying. Like how it looks and how it's perceived to the defense, then they can turn into something bigger than what it should be. There's no reason. Again, like you talk about the whole Saquon Daniel Jones situation, how that played out last week. Now we see Tay Banks, Joey Porter Jr., both drafted in the first round. Who's giving effort? Who's doing what? So that's the last thing you want attached to your name in New York is when it comes to effort and how you're perceived when it comes to what you're giving to not only your team, but to the fan base as well. So Tay Banks is in a little slippery situation, and it could easily tank. It could easily go worse.
And
if he doesn't give a F or whatever. But he's going to need to put some good stuff on tape pretty soon, not only to keep the fan base off his back and Twitter and social media and the media, but also your own teammates, because everybody is still locked in and trying to make plays. It's just you're looking at it like we're just coming up short because we're just not that team right now.
And, we'll see how he takes accountability for that after the game. I'm sure he's speaking now or will be speaking soon. But, I remember last week we were kind of talking about apathy. And, I think normally, a first-round pick from last year who gets benched should be a really big deal. That should be a big headline. That should be a big problem. And it just feels like there's some apathy. It's just kind of like, yeah, we're going to lose anyway. Yeah, of course he did. Yeah, oh well. It's almost like instead of anger, there's just apathy. They don't care anymore. Fans are not invested. They're watching the Yankees anymore, even though they're not giving them much to watch right now. Or they're watching, on Sundays they're watching Red Zone, instead of the Giants. There's at this point, until they string together not even a couple wins, just a couple of respectable, performances and a couple of games that give fans reason to tune in, there's no reason. There's almost no reason to. There's really not.
Yeah, much. Jared, but you got, and this isn't to come at the fan base or anything. Again, I'm agreeing with you just in terms of where everyone's mindset is. Half of, I guess, speaking in general, half of the fan base wants wins, but then the other half of the fan base is like, no, why would you win that game? Because they want the losses to put them in a favorable position.
We're not even at Halloween yet. You know what I mean? We're like it's.
But this has happened before.
Of course, and there's no hope of a turnaround because they see the same script. It's every week it feels like it's the same script. It's the defense, plays respectable and certainly plays well enough to win. Some of their playmakers look pretty good. Neighbors, when he's healthy, looks good. Tracy is a budding star. 5th round pick. He looks like a real deal. But then they end up, having one touchdown. They don't end up scoring enough. They maybe hang in and give them a few chances to win. They end up losing. They talk about, needing to be better, about needing to have more explosive plays. Rinse, repeat. It's the same thing every week, every game. And until they prove otherwise, there's no reason to believe the script will change, unless there is a major change. And I guess we could talk about that too. This week, Mara did say that he does not anticipate making a change, in season or after the season, and he wants stability. He wants to give these guys time to see it through and turn it around and start to have some of their own players in the building and develop some of their own players. And I think they deserve that, but it's a rough product right now. It's really a rough product right now.
Yeah, and that was great for Mr. Mara to do that because you're playing against a Steelers team that's had 3 head coaches in its entire existence of an organization, and he was saying like, you know, you don't want to jump on the fire bandwagon and everything's like instant oatmeal, instant grits, like fire someone, the new guy is going to come in and absolutely and turn the program around right away. Like, yes, that's wishful thinking. You love that. We saw that with Texans head coach, forget his name, and then we're seeing it with Dan Quinn down in with Washington Commanders. But what's the common denominator? One got CJ Stroud,
one got
Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at it, and you don't want to be in that position, I don't understand like what people like. Oh yeah, Tank, do this, do X, Y, Z. But at the end of the day, I would like to see Daniel Jones play his way out of this, even though if it's not to be the Giants QB1, it's just the former player in me. I want to see guys eat. Like I want to see them. I wish the best for them. And, you know, I have the ties in the organization right now as we do. We don't want to be doing these live streams after the game and their losses. Like that just doesn't, that's not fun for anyone. But at the end of the day, it's like it is what it is. And the Giants are in a situation to where you're playing for a lot more right now than just going to the playoffs this year or saving face. Now you got to put some things on tape to show that you're not the loser. You're a bright spot within, you know, the dark cloud or whatever, you know.
I mean, look, this is
final point. Finish this off, man.
Look, right now, this is a team of losers. You know, you can expect they will lose. As you said, they have a lot to play for. They are playing to prove that they themselves individually are not losers and should be part of this project and this core going forward, because right now the roster is filled out with a lot of players who have lost a lot of games, you know, in their NFL careers. So look, turnarounds can happen quickly, but it's October 28th. It's, you know, we haven't celebrated Halloween yet, and it feels like they're playing out the string for the rest of the season. And you know, if there is something to watch, it is to watch what I just said and, you know, to see who's part of this project. But at this point, it's any sense of having a meaningful game is, you know, is not reality. And it's, you know, it's not even Halloween yet.
Not even Halloween. No trick, no treat tonight. Giants lose 26-18. They fall 2-6 on the season. This has been your Giants Steelers post-game live show. I'm Brandon London. He's Jared Schwartz. We got the Blue Rush preview show coming up Thursday. We're back to the normal time. So you guys lock into that, and thank you guys for watching. Get some sleep, everyone. I'm tired. So thanks. Hey, Jared, thanks for coming on tonight, my man.
Here's the happier days ahead, Brandon. Talk to you soon.
Just like Aiden Fink just said, hey, good night. Better days ahead, man. Better days ahead, guys.